All right. All right, as up here, I've got a very short amount of things I want to get through today, because I want to give you all as much time as possible to get out into the field and collect the rest of your data. Okay, so let's talk about the lab this week. So the lab this week, the main goal is to just keep doing what you did last week to collect the rest of your data. Most groups seem to have gotten done with the control points, the trees, the utility poles, the sidewalks, and I think for the most part where you're at now is to actually just collect the topo. Am I right? Is that about where everybody is? So what I'll say is just a piece of advice: when you're surveying this part of Buskirk, the main part, try and split it up into a nice even grid, but also try and get some shots of your high points and your low points, and that'll get you a good map. This is one of those things where the more data that you collect, the better. For the slope, okay, you definitely want to get shots along the toe of the slope, along the crest of the slope, and try and get some points in between. Again, the more points, the better. The more points you collect, the better resolution you're going to get on your topographic data that you get in the end. So far, so good? Okay, the other thing that I'm going to suggest, and this is just a friendly suggestion, you don't have to do it, but I'm going to suggest it, is that you begin the process of taking your data and processing it in Excel. Okay, you're going to use what's called the text-to-wizard or text-to-column wizard in order to take the comma-separated values and convert it into a data that is usable in AutoCAD. I go through the process in the handout right there, but ultimately what you need to do is take all of your data files and combine them into a single solitary comma-separated value file that has 5 columns. The first column has the point numbers, then northings, then eastings, then elevations, and then descriptions. Okay, it should be pretty straightforward, but I think it's a good idea to go ahead and do that today. Let's talk about generating the drawing. Okay, so I've given you all 2 handouts today. So lab handout 10 is just a repeat of last week that has the control point data and all that to actually collect the data in the field. Lab handout 11 goes through a pretty prescriptive process step by step to show you how to generate the CAD drawing. Okay, I want to make sure that in general you understand the procedure. So to take the data in the field and convert it into a CAD drawing, you really have 5 steps. The first step is you need to process the data in Excel, and so I'm hoping you do that this week. Past that, you've got there's a lot of steps, but it's really broken down into these 4 parts. So part 1 is to take the data and import it into AutoCAD and set up your drawing and whatnot to begin constructing everything. Once you import the data, what's going to happen is you're going to import it, but the codes that you are using for your data, like SW for sidewalk, UP for utility pole, etc. What you want to do is you want to tell AutoCAD that, hey, this is a coin shot, this is a sidewalk shot, this is a topo shot. So the second thing you're going to do is you're going to spend a little bit of time coding the point data so that when it regenerates the drawing, it actually looks the way that's supposed to. The one that will probably look correct right on first import are the trees, because it'll see trees and go, oh, that's a tree, and it'll put a little tree symbol. So when you import all your data, you're going to see a bunch of points and trees. So for all the other points, we need to code them correctly. Once you code the points, now you can begin actually creating line work, okay? And so we really only have 2 types of line work that we really need to generate, and that is the contours and the sidewalks. The contours, there's a process where you basically create a query of all the points, the sidewalks and the topos, and generate, and it just does it. But the sidewalk you need to draw, okay? And then finally, you need to prepare the model for plotting. And I've included some additional detail on how to do that in Paperspace. Does everybody know what I'm talking about when I say Paperspace in AutoCAD? So you have the model space, you have the layout space. You should have remembered that. One thing I'll mention, I did record a tutorial on how to do the CAD. I actually did that Monday night, and I kind of went through everything. When I say I went through everything, I sort of went through the explanation of every step. I did not literally do everything, like I didn't draw all the sidewalks and all of that, or a full title block or anything. But it's enough that you should be able to navigate throughout the lab. When I say data processing, what I meant what I mean is this. So this is actually, this is from a few years ago, but this is the data that when you open the file from the total station, it's going to look like this on the left, okay? And the goal is to get it like this, okay? That's the goal. And what I mean by that is the data is going to be separated by these semicolons. It's all going to be on one row. And what you've got to do is take the data and put it into these individual columns. And there's a wizard in Excel that can help you do that. But what you need to do is you need to do that for each of your data files and then stitch them all together so that you have one single cohesive, comma-separated value file. I do have one slight audible that I'm going to mention, and the reason why I'm mentioning it is I took a peek at some of the data files, and I think everybody's doing a great job, but I think the sidewalk codes might be a little funky, okay? If you recall, last week, the idea behind coding it as like SWB, SWEC, and all of that is so that AutoCAD will automatically process the line work for the sidewalks. And I'm guessing that might be a little bit of an issue. And so when I say call an audible, the original set of instructions had the instructions for how to automatically process the line work. Like there's a few ways to generate line work in AutoCAD. One way is to try and get the program to do it for you, which does make more sense if you have a really, really big job. But for the purposes of what we're doing, we have a relatively small topo, we can just draw it ourselves. So I changed the instructions a little bit to draw it ourselves. But the good news is that your SW points, for example, your sidewalk points, that'll make it a little easier to draw them and whatnot. So I changed that up because I think it'll make it easier for you to construct the topo. All right, make sense? Anybody have any questions? Okay. Let me borrow the rubric real quick. All right, so when you what's going to happen is I believe the CAD Lab submission is already available on Blackboard. If not, I'll turn it on probably today. What you're going to submit, you're going to upload two files. You're going to upload the DWG file, the actual AutoCAD file, and you're going to upload the PDF. Okay. It is due on Friday, November 17th at 1 p.m. But I'm going to open it up today. So if you all want to get it done starting tomorrow, nothing's going to stop you. Okay, you all can start tomorrow. I have uploaded instructions on Blackboard on how to install AutoCAD Civil 3D. It's been a while since you've done it. Okay. The lab is going to be graded out of 100 points, so all the labs that we've done up until now have been 50 points. This one's 100 because it's over 2 weeks, okay? And 20% is going to be based on formatting, 20% is going to be based on the level of detail, 40% is going to be based on the data being right, and the other 20% is on legibility and readability, okay? You did that. Any questions? Let's get outside.